doing things a little bit different today. My name is Leon. I'm usually behind the camera, but kind of this was my idea to get Frank in front of the camera with him, to get to know Frank a little bit better. And I know him well, but I want him to share some stories. So, Frank, welcome to season 2.
Take it away.
Take it away.
Well, thank you for tuning in. Hopefully, you're getting something out of what we're trying to get out there. And what brought me to this point in my life where all I focus on is eye care and ophthalmology, optometry. About 16 years ago, my eye doctor, Robert Gole, up in Newmarket, stopped in because I used to run. I used to run construction. I used to run mid-rise, high-rise. I used to do a little bit of everything in construction. And he knew that I had a lot of connections, and he stopped in my office one day and asked me if I can help him build his optometry office. And one thing led to another, one thing led to another. I saw that there was no one really doing anything in the industry. And even the okay, well, I won't say no one doing. There was a couple people. They were, I want to be polite, I'm not going to call them dinosaurs or anything like that.
Okay.
But they were so old school. And, it was the typical optometry office, ophthalmology. It was based on what was done 30 years ago. And, it was fine. Back then, it worked, especially with the college here, that they really had to separate the two things. They had to separate the retail and the diagnostic part, right? But when we started this about 16 years ago, that's when they actually opened up the floodgates, right, and said, start advertising however you like.
There's restrictions before?
There's restrictions, yeah.
Gotcha.
You had to have a physical barrier between the diagnostic and the store and the retail. That's how it worked.
Okay.
And a lot of the designs were based on that. But then I saw even after this change in the industry, that a lot of the people that were designing and are still designing optometry, they still kind of have this old mentality, right? So it really was a challenge, and I love challenges, right? And I wanted to see what can I do to make a change or make us known in this industry. So I carried on working as a project manager, supervisor, the whole kit and caboodle for the construction, probably for about 5 years, handling both companies at the same time. But if anything, at least that gave me a lot of strength on the construction end.
Yep.
Because from whatever trade it is, whether it's drywalling, whether it's electrical, mechanical, plumbing, whatever it is, that was how I grew up. I grew up with that.
Yep.
So now, how do I make that knowledge benefit what I'm trying to do now for the ODs, right? So it was, for me, it was a benefit to have that background.
Totally.
Okay. But I saw that when we finished with Robert Gole, there was a designer that was doing these offices, these layouts, and he liked what we did, and he liked all the input that we had inside in the office there, and we did a few more with that gentleman, and eventually, I wanted to push the envelope even more and more and more and more, and he was slowly retiring, and it gave us the opportunity to say, let's fresh start. Let's open up. And back then we were called urban spaces,
yeah.
Right? Let's work under urban spaces and throw these new ideas out there on how your office should flow. What size are the exam rooms? Because they were oversized. I still walk into some exam rooms that are 15 feet long, and if you're using a mirror. Mm-hmm. And real estate is just way too expensive. And it's not just the GTA. Going even here where we are here in Innisfil, Barrie, the outskirts of unless you're in Timbuktu, real estate is anything within 2 hour rotation of Toronto.
For sure.
It's
For sure.
very expensive real estate. We made adjustments. We looked at the overall plan on how the doctor, how the staff is using the space, and we started to chisel away on all this wastage.
Was there a resistance from these doctors?
Big time.
We have to have it this big, like blah, blah.
Not necessarily from the doctors, more from the staff.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yes, yeah. So when it comes to the staff, they're going to give you some pushback because you are ruffling some feathers.
Yeah. No one likes change.
No one likes change.
No.
Yep. They have their comfort zone. They know where they can have their little seclusion time. And today's offices, if you want an efficient office, it's moving.
Yeah.
And the most successful offices that I've built, when you walk in, it's like, oh my God, like, it's just nonstop.
Yeah.
It's not chaos, but I don't see anyone sit down and
Yeah.
it's nonstop. So it's a big change going from those old designs to the new designs, the way that the rotation is now, the different changes that even the pretest area, the fact that pretest used to be all these different rooms. You got the autorefractor and the fundus in one, then you got an OCT and maybe a matrix in another, and then you got your Humphreys somewhere else for that, the other reading. Every time a patient has to stand up and go from one room to another room, or from one chair to another chair, it didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Over and above, like even now, the latest things that we started to do in the past couple of years is even manipulate the equipment stands. So,
In what sense?
well, again, talking about real estate, right? If I'm only given a certain amount of space for pretest.
Yep.
So when we do our layouts, we minimum size for the exam rooms. By the time we get to the pretest area, usually whatever I can gain, whatever I could donate from the pretest, it ends up going to the gallery, which everyone knows that. I want a beautiful gallery. Okay, if you're going to sell frames, your gallery's got to look beautiful. It shouldn't look that you can't even move around.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we started doing is even talking to the doctors and giving them suggestions on the pretest equipment that they're using and planning on using within the next, say, 3 to 5 years.
Gotcha.
So what we do is, we can customize the sizes and the contours of the stands for the pretest equipment. So now, when I walk into offices, they got one instrument on a 36-inch table. So that instrument will work on a 24-inch table, work on a 22-inch table, work on a 26-inch table, depending whether it's a Mate, a Humphreys, whatever it is there. And we can customize these tables now, these equipment stands, so that it is tailored exactly for what you're going to use that pretest for. So now, say, oh yeah, but what, a couple inches here, a couple inches there, it's another foot, or 1 foot turns into 2 feet.
Yep.
If we were like in the States where, your average office is 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 square feet, it's a different story. You can be ignorant, you could be very nonchalant about space. Here, we put emphasis on how much you're paying for your rent, or how much you're paying on a mortgage, your investment on there, and we want to capitalize, the return per square foot on what you're going to get.
Just no waste in general.
We try and minimize. Absolutely, we try and use. You tell every square foot. Forget about it. We try and use every square inch.
Yep.
We use as much as we possibly can, and there's no formula out there that says what works for Rob is going to work for Diana. You got to take all the information, how the staff, How many staff do you got? How many doctors? How many at one, like how many, what days? Is it doctor days? How many hours per doctor day? What are your rotations? Say 20-minute rotations, 25-minute rotations. There's just all kinds of data that we need before we can customize a plan for you.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
To say, you know what, this is what we think is the most efficient
For your office.
for your office,
specific
for your
office.
environment, for your demographics, for your mentality, for the way that you want to run your office, okay? Because everyone has a different, you know, some people are more laid back, other people are very, very aggressive. They want growth. They want, you know. So we take all of that into play, and we come up with an idea on what we think. That's why, you know, again, if anyone heard me speak before, is, you know, we're not a cookie cutter approach. That doesn't exist.
Would even make sense in this approach.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
It does not work for our application. It doesn't work. Now, there's all kinds. There's 4 or 5 companies off the top of my head that, if you want cookie cutter, and I'm not putting them down. They've got great product, beautiful stores, right? But it's this. You go to every second, third block. It's that look. It's that you know, that atmosphere. Here we're trying to create something that's unique to yourself, right? To that doctor or that family, right? Because it is, at the end of the day, it becomes a family over there.
How do you anticipate growth there? I'm assuming that's what you do, based on how it is now with the data, and like project growth with the doctor, or they don't have this mindset.
No.
Like this business mind. Like I'm talking for business now, right? Obviously.
Not to again, not to offend, or to not to be so critical with the doctors, but they can use some help on the business sense. That's for sure.
They're doctors.
Okay,
They're doctors. They're amazing doctors.
They have their strengths.
Yep.
They have their strengths in what they do and what they've been taught. But then they have to rely on others. Okay, very few doctors have that gift that can multitask everything. Very, very few. So you have to rely. We're either relying on family member, you know, to help you run the business, or your office manager or coordinator. You know, so you, in most cases, you are relying on someone, okay, to look after the business part of the company. So,
but is that something you have to keep pushing to them?
100%.
Like if they're walking in saying, "All I want is this space to do this," you're like, "No."
They don't a lot of the doctors don't realize what they actually have. They may think they do, but companies, again, I can't go into names here, but there are these big companies that are exactly that. They're headhunters. They're looking. They're looking to buy.
Private equity, for sure.
Why are they looking to buy? Because they see the amount of charts, and they see the amount of potential that an office has, and what they can do with it to turn things around and to extract even more out of the office, right? So this is what we try and point out is what the potential of your office is and what we think. Now, again, for me, I'm constantly learning. Okay, that's why, you know, my head sometimes I go on a little bit too much, but I want to share everything that I keep learning. Not that I've learned, that I keep learning for the past 16 years. And when I think of every office, when we come to a completion that the office is done, it's sad to say that I can go back and say that I would have did something a little bit different, because there was another learning curve while I was doing that.
Design element or flow, what's most of the time? It could be anything.
It could be anything from that. It could be anything from there. So for me, I would have to say that that's a good part. That's a good part of the company, because it means that we're still thinking. That we haven't found our comfort zone, saying, you know what? That's it. Let's step back. We got it now. Yeah. This is how we're going to build them. No. Anyone that thinks like that does not know what's going on in eye care. Okay?
Or any business, to be honest, right?
You know what? No, I have to disagree with you. I've got this thing with eye care that it's very hard to come up with something or to stumble onto something that you know has almost no limit. It's the potential growth is limitless. And what's happened in human nature, what's happened with our electronics, what's happened with our day-to-days, what's happened through COVID, you know, all these things just created more and more and more demand on our eyes.
I thought it was just an aging thing. Well, it is. But I'm also on this. It's an aging thing as my white hair, and there's this bloody thing, right?
None of this is going to stop ever.
Yeah.
This is here to stay, and if anything, the demand is going to be even more, right? More and more and more, and you know, we see what's going on with myopia for the past 10 years. You know, 10 years plus. You know, on how everything's progressing, and even vision therapy, on everything, on the demand. Every part of the industry is getting called for more demand. There's more requests. Now, the business is out there. Who wants to capture it? Who wants to be part of this growth? You know, humanity has given you this gem, which doesn't happen that often. There's another saying that I have, which I really like. You've been given a gem. It's up to you on how you want to polish that gem now. Okay? Because there's just so much out there that we can talk about.
And these ODs don't recognize that, or they do, but
they have an idea.
To what you see, right? Because
they cannot. There's no chance.
I've seen your monster ones that you've done, and I'm like, that's crazy. I'm sure XYZ can do the same thing too, right?
But even when I'm talking, and again, I won't go into names, even when I'm talking to some of my strongest doctors, okay, and even the ones with huge business sense, you know, I keep bringing in ideas and stuff that they have. It's not, you know, yes, we work together a lot, okay, but no, there is, and again, you can't blame, they have their specialty.
Yeah.
If they were doing what I'm doing every single minute of the day, and unfortunately I even bring it to bed, okay, that my brain, like, I just never shuts off, okay, which is, you know, it's not a good thing, that's for sure. But, and that's why I'm saying to my audience here, take advantage of what's going on in here.
For sure.
Because, you know, right now I have taken in just so much stuff of what's going on in the industry, and again, the changes that are happening. And we haven't even touched on potential scope changes that are you know, within the next 5 years, the next 10 years, the next 3 years, what could happen, which again is going to lead into different demands, different rotation, different configurations.
Scope and equipment and health.
Well, equipment is always getting, you know, updated. Okay, more. Some of the equipment can do more than what it used to do, or they're ganging more things together, you know.
I feel doctors are good with that stuff. As a techie guy myself.
Equipment.
Right?
Well, that's why when they go to shows,
it's always busy around.
They beeline to the equipment. They always beeline to the equipment.
It's kind of like the low-hanging fruit. It's easy to get. The fancy thing will get you versus...
It's what they understand.
Yeah.
It's what that's what they were brought up with. That's their understanding.
Yeah.
For us, you know, when I'm saying like scope change, you know, whether it's YAG, whether it's SLTs, different lasers and different treatments, I know that there's been talk, and there's some states that are already offering some of these treatments. Some of these treatments, okay? And some treatments are as simple as, you know, 2 to 5 minutes, where other treatments could be, you know, between 15 and 20 minutes.
So
right?
you have to convince them to anticipate for that. No?
But it might not be for, it may only be for 10% of the ODs that are out there. It might be for 15% of the ODs. That's why we ask the questions. That's why we look at their areas. That's why we get a feel of who they are. Is this something that the aggressive doctors, that they want growth, they want to keep expanding? You got to bring this to their attention. Yeah. You got to put it out on the table. You know, this is what's going on in your industry. Yeah. Where do you feel that you fit in here? Where's your comfort zone? Okay, and then from there we can start. Then we start talking about what the potentials are and what we can do for them, okay, and how they can help themselves after as well. The main thing that I want to get out there is like experience and knowledge, that you don't just stumble onto that. You gotta stumble many times to get that that, and we have done that, and we still do that every day. We still do that. So we don't need to be doing 500 offices a year. I'm not in this to make iEvolve Design this monster conglomerate.
That every single
that we're the name for everyone. I want to share what I've learned in the industry and how it can help the individual. Okay, whether it's just the doctor, helping the doctor, helping the staff, helping whatever fits into their needs of where they're lacking. This is I want to be able to. It's not just if you don't call iEvolve, then that they're going to come and do your whole office, whatever. That's we've got enough work for to keep us busy.
I feel it's even just knowing you guys for so long. It's just personal fulfillment. Like it's not about I've done you know what I mean. Like just you're so hands on. Like you're so hands on in all your projects, right? Like you get so fulfilled.
When I go to sleep at night, I replay everything I've done during the day. And again, this is another part that I can't turn off.
Yeah, you can't.
Okay?
You
Can't turn that off. I replay everything, and then I wonder what I could have done differently to make it more efficient, or what did I learn from this replay of everything that I've just. And for me, it's sense of accomplishment, something that I've actually contributed to humanity. Okay,
agreed.
On my part, saying, these 60 years that I've been on this planet, this is what I did. I didn't just be happy and I go to sleep and forget about everything. I take a lot of pride
For sure.
in what we do.
Purpose too, right? I feel this is your purpose, man. Like,
I think so.
yeah, you left the corporate to do this. Like,
I left. I was.
you know what I mean? Like, I'm.
Okay, so we got off topic because I was the same way. I was one of the. I was probably the highest volume builder in Ontario.
Your previous life sounded pretty good.
When I was in my 20s, mid-20s, when I got out of Ryerson, and I didn't pursue the engineering part because there was more money in building and running these sites, and I was probably top three in volume. The amount of the amount of building that I was doing was crazy. And it taught me to handle a lot of things. So I was,
monster projects, dude.
Monster. These were monster projects. Some of my projects were like $300-400 million projects, right? So this wasn't small little.
Well, the same thing, deadlines and the whole.
So
the whole
everything, and for me, I found it a challenge to how I can streamline things, and then on how to show others on how they can do the exact same thing. So it wasn't that I just wanted to do it and say, oh, this is mine and mine only.
Yeah.
I was trying to share it with other builders and other developers on this is what how to do volume and not to miss anything, right? So that things were running really, really efficiently. And yes, I could have stayed in that industry and
probably retired by now.
It would have been very much retired,
Yes.
100% very much retired.
I retired a long time ago. I feel.
Yeah, but I don't see that. I don't see retirement as an option for me. I enjoy it. I enjoy learning. I enjoy being out there and socializing and picking people's brains and getting different approaches on things and seeing how one person thinks about this compared to the way the other person thinks about that. Because then that also helps me reevaluate my approach or my ideas on how I'm going to do things. Right? It's a constant learn. For me, it's a constant learn. So, I'm an open book. when it comes to concepts, when it comes to designs, my God, how many designs I've done for people that, it just, I'm an open book. If we can help in any way, please reach out. Whether it's through an email, through a text, through a phone call. We want to share what we've learned, at least for myself. Okay,
Yeah.
For me, the owner of the company, I want to share everything. Now, Joseph and Catherine, it's a family business. For them, they can take it to whatever level they want. For me, I want to share
all those years of experience,
all the years of
and
experience.
what you see in the future,
and what I'm seeing in the future.
Right, while you're in there,
and I'm teaching Joseph and Catherine. They've picked it up and actually excelled in some of the things where
for sure
where I'm falling back on now. They're slowly starting to take over,
especially with the creatives on there.
The creatives,
it's
they're
wild,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. Oh, they're definitely good at it. They're really, really good at it. But for me, it's more what my strengths are and what I can bring to this industry right now. Mm-hmm. The space planning is 100%. That is one of my huge strengths. Yeah. Because as soon as I see a print, or when I'm walking through an office, people, I guess, when they see me walking through there, they think I might be nuts or something. But when I walk through a space, that print is actually being built. Like it's 3D.
You're like scanning a 3D.
It's
building
3D.
It's like, this is wrong. Why is there a brick wall here?
No, but but by the time I've done my round, maybe once or twice or three times, the image is there, and then it starts to spin around. Then smoke starts to come out of my ears a little bit, right? And I start to think of, what's salvageable, what's not salvageable. Is this a complete write-off? We're tearing down. What are we doing here? Yeah. And how can I guide the doctor, okay? Mm-hmm. How can I guide them the best way right now? And again, what I tell absolutely everyone, every decision that I make, every point, everything that I say to the doctors, it's as if the space is mine. Yeah. I put myself in their shoes, in their budget, in their train of thought. Yeah. And this is how I try and talk to
you're
them.
Running their. If I was running your business from this side, I would do this.
I'm your partner.
Yeah.
Okay. Until I'm all done here.
And you said that a few times with the doctors I know with you, and they said the same thing.
I talk to them as if this is mine.
It's your
okay?
baby. Totally.
When I'm done, I'll hand it over to you. But this is you've given me your criteria. We did the evaluation on what you want and everything. And now let me run with this, okay? And again, and that's if you don't have any input. They still have all kinds of input, okay? Sure. But let me show you everything that I learned in 16 years, and learning. Yeah. Right. So
I've been to shows with you. The crazy dollar machines, education's crazy at Waterloo and stuff. I have close friends that are optometrists. Is money no issue? Money relatively no issue when it comes to doing what you do? To me, like, you're spending the money on the machine. You're spending money on your education to get the best of the best. Do you ever run into, like, when you're pitching these ideas, money's...
That's for sure. 100%.
Like, of course money's an issue for everybody, but I mean, there's so much value.
They don't see the value.
They don't
they
see the
do
value.
Not. They
you're majority speaking.
They see the value. They're saying, okay, an OCTA now. Oh, I got to have the OCTA, right? They'll see the value there. And for the diagnostic part, 100%. Yes. But you were blessed with two businesses under one roof.
The retail, yeah.
You got the retail side here.
That's right. That's
the part that I have a huge problem in showing them what the potential is on there. And the limits of what they can get to.
Because I always like your retail approach. Like, I was on Shepherd. I've been there a million times with you. The whole thing's a retail store. Like, it's a retail experience, right? Yeah. But I'm assuming a lot of doctors don't. Maybe they don't think they have the space or something. I think Eyes on Shepherd is very unique, right? But
you don't need no boutique. You don't need 10,000 feet.
That's right.
10,000 feet to it's customer experience. You don't need 10,000 feet to offer customer experience, right? Okay, now we're talking customer side, not talking patient side, okay? Again, one of my statements that I make to docs all the time. Your patients already know that they're coming to see a great doctor, okay? That's not what we want to rub in their face, okay? What we want to rub in their face is that, we got a pretty good store here too.
Yeah. That's right.
Let's do some shopping.
That's right.
Okay, because it's all fine and dandy that you spend your 15, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 30 minutes with that patient. Go through all your testing, all your evaluations. Give them the best possible script that you were taught to give. And then they walk out the door and they go get it filled at Costco.
That makes no sense. You just let that side of the business.
But forget about the money. Forget about the money part of it. For me, as a doctor, if I was a doctor and my patient was walking out with my script and having someone else fill it, I don't know what I would say. Do I not give a shit anymore on how he or she is going to see?
Yeah, that's right. No quality control.
Because there's no quality. There's nothing. There's nothing there. There's no evaluation on frame size. No evaluation on which lens to use. On the demand for the peripheral. On which are we going to go into a different index? How do you? For me, I'm too proud. Yeah. I want. If I can, I want complete control.
Or you control. Took the word out of my mouth. Pride and control.
I want complete control.
Because you don't want to come back with those wrong glasses. Like, what happened?
And you can come back 100 times.
Yeah.
I will keep doing that until it's right 100%.
Yep.
And I'll learn why I don't want this to be tested going to lens crafters and filling the script, or going online and filling the script, right? And that leads to another thing that I tell the doctors, like, having yourself or one of your staff get the point across to the customer. They got to be slapped in the face a little bit. They'll go spend $2,500 on a phone, but the fact that they can't see it.
It's true.
Like, all this huge 5K, 4K, how crisp, super. But like, if you can't see it properly,
pointless.
What's the point? So, but I spent $65 on frames today. Come on.
Yeah, makes sense.
But point that out to them in black and white. Come up with a game plan so that you're educating we're not calling a patient anymore. We're educating your customer.
Yep.
Okay? So we're offering the best possible refraction, the diagnostic, everything that you've learned. But now let's follow up with that. If you're going to have a gallery, do it properly. Okay, have the right staffing, have the right approach, the uniformity on how you are to talk to this customer, so that you can educate them on why they should be relying on you for their eyewear, not just their eye care.
That's right.
Right. And then again, let's lead into another one. Now you got the patient, you got the customer inside the door now. Let's take it a step further. We started with the therapy, the vision therapy. Yeah. When we started talking about this with one of the key players. Again, I don't want to say any names there, but she's an unbelievable doctor. Okay, she's an icon in the industry, in the vision therapy industry. And when I did her office, this has got to be 7 years ago, probably something like that. And I knew about it, but I didn't know how strong that industry was until I actually became one of the patients. Because of what happened, I got hit in the head, double vision. I didn't know what the heck was going on, and she put me in the.
To do all the stuff that we see in the rooms.
She fixed me up. She fixed me, and I saw from there it opened my eyes even more. See, again, education.
Crazy.
Education, right?
Your first hand hug, like
boom, I was there first
hand.
And then I saw how this is a huge part of the eye care industry on how this demand is still going to go hard, more and more and more and more. That has gone. That is still growing like crazy. Yep. And now when it came to dry eye, by the way, this equipment can also do wrinkles. This one can do freckles. This can do that. And now you have the potential of offering different services to the customer too. Now, you're talking about it was complicated running two businesses where you got diagnostic and you got retail. Mm-hmm. Now you potentially got vision therapy. Now you have aesthetics. You got spa treatments. You got, talk about this. Remember what I said about gem? Remember what I said about the gem? How do you want to polish this? How many different sides do you want this gem polished? It is there for you for the taking, okay, if you want it. For us, let's just explain to you what the possibilities are. Let me tell you what you could do with what you've got. Yep. and then run with it. So this is what I'm trying to get out there with the podcast. What I'd love to be able to go to these shows and just scream out there on a PA system or on a stage and get them to freaking listen just for a little bit. Then shut me off after.
Yeah.
But for the moment, listen, open your ears and soak it in, because this is stuff that it's not just money for you. It's not just. Look at the circle that you have underneath your wings there. You got all of your staff, you got your family, everything. You have to, again, you got to go to work. You got to be happy.
Yep.
You're at work more than you are at your house.
Oh, totally.
Okay, so you better. I won't say make your work your, but you get the gist here.
Sure.
You got to be happy. You got to be proud. You got to be motivated. Positive energy inside. Because it reflects to everyone.
If the staff is happy because of their environment. Environment's so key, right?
It starts with the guy at the top.
Yeah.
And then it filters. Because that's how you get to the top, is because the people from below are bringing you up.
Yeah.
Okay? So given what's going on in the industry right now and the amount of changes that are happening and the expectations and all the pushback that we're getting with, Specsavers and the Warby Parkers and the lens crafters and all this, as Carrie said, I don't mind saying Carrie. Carrie doesn't mind when I say his name. I love him to death. Brick and mortar is not dead. You have to put it out there. People will come.
Yeah.
The benefit is that most of these offices already have a huge clientele. Let's offer them the proper services. Let's offer them the proper atmosphere, so that when they come in, they're not looking, oh, jeez, what? Oh my God, I've already waited 6 minutes for this doctor.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest things when you go into a doctor's office. That's why we say that we don't want a diagnostic atmosphere when you walk in, okay? Because that's the first psychological thing that happens with the customer. I'm not calling them patients anymore.
Yep.
The customer, he walks in and right off the bat gets a medical feel. His or her guard goes up.
Yep.
Oh my God. Great doctor, but my God, I gotta wait 25 fucking minutes for this.
Yeah.
I swear. Sorry, I swore. You gotta have to cut that off. As soon as they do this, your sales already dropped by 50%.
Yeah, agreed.
And again, it's not just the money that is
just the move.
It's the whole. No, it's not. No, I'm not just talking about a potential, retail return that is lost here. Credibility is lost.
Yeah.
Your potential of saying that I just put on I just put on some glasses on him or her that they're going to brag about this like to everyone because they can see as good as they possibly can, given their condition, right? At least you've been given that opportunity to fulfill it right to the very end and not take that chance that this person walks out again and goes and fills this script somewhere else, okay? I hear offices that they got a capture rate of 30%, 35%. Again, we're always talking about, when I talk about capture rate, this is of dispensable patients, okay? And then you get offices that are 90 plus. What makes the difference? Like, obviously, they're doing something different.
Totally.
And it's not just the atmosphere. It's not just the staff. It's not just the doctor. It's a combination of everything.
For sure.
It's a combination. And this is what we want to try and explain to and then even where we reach our limit, then we got other people that we can introduce them to take them to another level, for when it comes to consulting and stuff like that, right? So, or equipment, and depending on what level you want to get to with equipment. So, but at least with us, we can give them that picture. We can say, what are you happy with? How do you want to get up in the morning, and how do you want to conduct your day until you go to sleep at night, okay, or until you leave your office? This is what's important to me right now. I could talk forever. Give me some water or something, but I can talk forever. And again, I tell all everyone that meets me, I give them the heads up. I'm a little bit rough around the corners, or so my English and the way that I come across.
Passion, brother.
You'd think
Passion.
you call it passion.
That's a passion thing.
No, I call it. I'm my Italian blood. Okay, so that's what I call it. So, but the curve is just going to keep getting steeper and steeper and steeper. I don't see this. Everything that I talk about, everything that I read, everything that I learn that from going from office to office and seeing what's going on online and everything. The industry, no industry plateaus.
Yeah.
No industry. But some have a curve like this, and then some will have a curve like this. You're on this curve. We don't have any plans on saying, you know what, we want to take, no immediate plans, at least not for me. Maybe my kids.
Yeah.
Okay, I call them kids even though 30, 35, and 33. If they want to do something to expand a little more, but for me, I'm happy with the education part.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why I'm trying to. I'm hoping for the COPE approval, right?
Sure.
So
Amazing.
that I can offer credit too for my talk. The way that I see it, like there's a lot of education inside these seminars, but 99.9% of it is all diagnostic related, right?
Yeah,
It's all healthcare and stuff. But this is business. This is how you're succeeding in life. This is how this
sounds like branding, patient experience, everything.
Everything.
Right?
And again, I keep referring to the circle. You're responsible for your staff. You're responsible for your family. You're responsible for yourself. Be happy. Be happy with what you've accomplished, and with your ventures in the future of what you want to accomplish. Let me point these things. Let me point out to you at least what's going on, and then you take in whatever fits in for you. Because you started with a question at the beginning. So I was in construction. So I've been together with the engineers and architects and everything, and running big chunks of construction till I guess about 54, 55. So I did it for almost 30 years, and then I dropped all of it to be absolutely full time. So I think I've been full time in this for about 9 years now, something like that.
Yeah.
That's all I've been doing is optometry. Everyone that I've seen at these big trade shows, okay, including in France and in Italy, there's no one that does what we do.
Yeah, we can definitely say that.
I can say that.
That's right.
There's no one that does,
sure.
not to this level, nowhere near to this level. Not that how custom and how tight.
Yeah.
And I get it, because if you've got, if you're dealing with 500 customers, 1,000 customers, there's no way that you could physically commit yourself to this much, attachment. And that's why I want to stay as long as we are. More than happy. Share our knowledge.
Building those partnerships, beautiful boutique for them based on their brand.
That's what we're happy with.
Yeah.
Just putting those
or
those
like-minded
out there.
doctors. I think that's more like it, right? It helps.
Yes. We're fortunate that one of the shows that a gentleman from California, very unique, wanted something that is very, very unique. And it's Egyptian background, so his traditions were very, very important to him. And not because Joseph's my son, or my employee, but oh my dear God, what he put together. And when we finally get this store up and running, I can't wait to show that, to show how different something can be.
So good.
In the eye care industry.
Yeah.
So you're going to look forward to seeing that. It's probably going to be in the next 2-3 months.
Yeah.
And then we'll share that with
Joseph's
everyone.
mind is he's so creative. Like, he's so crazy. Like, the stuff that he comes up with is just not even.
He's an artist.
Yeah, like not even a blink of an eye. I'm gonna do this. And make it happen. There's no.
Yeah.
It's wild. I'm not just saying that. Like, I firsthand know him very well. Yeah, it's wild.
He's got those strengths. Catherine has her strengths with taking over from on my end with talking to everyone and putting everything in black and white and making the right suggestions and the right colors and the right everything, right? So
She's like a freight train.
we got a great little circle
Yeah, agreed.
right there.
No, agreed.
Everything flows nicely. Our timelines are really good. We offer things that, we offer here in Ontario, what we offer here with construction, no one else can.
Yeah.
Right? 'Cause how many doctors can stay open and have their place done at the same time? Like, it's, but I guess we've been doing this for 15, 16 years. So, but this one office in California, just like when I opened up Carrie's place there, I think I was as proud as he was.
Hey,
Walking
that's
in.
good.
And I still am there. I go there probably every 2 weeks and just make sure that my store is doing well, okay, that everyone's happy.
I think the last time I was with you, you were walking and fixing something. Something doesn't look
All
right.
the time.
I'm like, what's happening here?
All the time. I want it picture perfect.
Yeah, no joke.
And
Okay, I think that's a wrap. If you like this type of content, and I'm gonna not screw up the line that he sometimes screws up on, please, it will help the algorithm just to show us that you like this, or just let us know. What do you want to know from Frank? Honestly, he's an open book, right? And I think the end goal of all this is not just self-promoting, it's kind of just educating, right? Whatever you need to know. It's like he is an open book, and just that's his fulfillment, as you saw, right? He really enjoys it. So thank you for the people that are watching and listening.
And subscribe, right?
And subscribe. I screwed up. And
Did you?
subscribe. Yes,
That's
I didn't
what we
say
did,
subscribe.
and subscribe.
I just said like. So subscribe. That would greatly help.
Yeah. Now you're going to have to explain to me again what that all means.
Perfect. Thank you, brother.
All right.